Well, hello again, friends. We've got some more snow. Now, if you look out here, it doesn't look like we got that much. They were saying we're supposed to get 5 or 8 inches last night. The thing that's kind of funny about my neighborhood is that I could get a small amount like this at my house, and then some of the other houses I go to, maybe they did get the 8 inches. I don't know. We're going to go out and find out. Let's go get this tractor started and warmed up. Today's video is going to be longer than normal. We're going to do a lot of Q&A. I'm going to show you different places I haven't before, and towards the end of the video we'll get into some deeper snow. What plow markers do I have? Well, I'll show you. I have these plow markers that I got off of Amazon. They were pretty cheap. I'll put a link in the description. You can check them out from there. How's the traction with these tires? Well, they're alright. These are R4 industrial tires. I'd say they're not the best for snow removal on concrete surfaces, but they do okay. I've never gotten stuck with this tractor. I can spin the tires, but I do have tire chains that I'll put on when we get deeper snowfalls. If I were to get tires again, I would get the new R14 tires that have become pretty popular. People say that those perform better on the snow and slick surfaces. What is my favorite implement for snow? Well, I use the blade the most. That's mainly because it's the fastest, in my opinion. I do like using the snow blowers. Those are just pretty fun to use. And as far as how much weight would you add, I have 8 42-pound suitcase weights hanging off the back of the tractor on a heavy hitch. And I also have my rear tires loaded with rim guard. So I have plenty of weight for what I do. Something you might notice in this shot is the shadows. So the front of my house right now in the morning is in the shade, and you can see that there's no real sun shining where I'm doing the driveway. But if you look on the other side of the street, there is sun over there. So my neighbors on the other side of the street, the snow melts from their driveways really pretty quickly in the mornings. As for my house, I really won't get hit by sun until the afternoon. And then if I'm lucky, any ice or anything like that would melt at that time. Alright, so that was easy. Next thing we're going to do is what I do next is I go around and do all the sidewalks in our particular cul-de-sac we live in here. That's something that's required by our city. So me going around doesn't take very much effort for me, and then that helps my neighbors out so they don't have to go out and shovel the sidewalks. I've had people comment on the width of my blade and whether or not I would like to have a larger blade. They do make larger blades for this tractor. John Deere has one that's 60 inches. There's other manufacturers that make wider ones than that. For me, this is really perfect for the sidewalks that I do. If I had more than the 54-inch blade, I just don't think it would work well in this neighborhood type of environment that I'm in. If it were wider, I think it would just put me at risk for hitting things. In this case, on the left side where people's yards are, there are sprinkler heads, and I like to stay away from those and not break them. If I had a wider blade, it would just be more challenging to do that. So honestly, the 54 blade is pretty much perfect for my use. One more thing to consider when you're talking about the width of the blade, bigger is not always better. So we get some deep snowfalls. I mean, sometimes we'll get 3 feet of snow in a single storm. And for that depth of snow, when it's heavy, the 54 blade is all this tractor is able to push. So if I had a wider blade, I also think that it would hinder my ability to handle the larger snowfalls. right here, I'm pretty much at the end of my street, so I'm going to turn around and hit the sidewalk on the other side of the street and go back the other direction. As you can see by all the footprints on the sidewalk, there is a lot of walking that goes on in our neighborhood, so keeping these sidewalks clear really helps everyone out. Right up ahead here, you'll see the sidewalk's already clear. I can never get out before this guy does. He is always out bright and early shoveling his sidewalk. I actually pull off the side onto the street here because he has a tree that hangs low and I don't want to hit my ROPS on it. So these straightaways are really easy. Like this is the breezy part. But when you get to the end here to the cul-de-sac and there's the circle you kind of go around, the edges of the sidewalk are a little bit harder to see here, so I gotta really be careful or else I'll be taking out sprinkler heads. So I'm in the home stretch now. We're almost back to our starting point, and then that concludes the sidewalks on my street. Next, we're going to be starting up the gator. Here's a question about commercial insurance. Nope, don't have it. Also, have you ever got a ticket for putting the snow in the street? No. Our city doesn't even clean the streets, so that's not going to happen. The other thing is, this is Colorado. If you notice the sky in my videos, it's always clear. This is not like in the Midwest where it's always cloudy out and your snow hangs around. This snow will literally be melted later the same day. Alright, now that I have the sidewalk done on my particular street here, as you can see, now we're going to go to some individual houses. Alright, so really quickly before we start going to individual people's houses, just because I have the gator here with the plow, I'm just going to do my street really quick. And our city here, they don't typically do any snow removal on the street unless we get significant snowfall. I'm not going to do the whole thing, I'll just get mainly the center of it cleared out. So at this point, I've got one lap around the street. To widen it up a little bit further, I'm just going to hit it again.
Well, that was easy. Let's go to our first house.
Alright, as you can see, we got this one all done. Apparently at some point during doing that, my battery died in the camera. But on to the next one. Here's another good question about insurance. How do I cover the 1025R when I'm off of my property? Well, I don't. What I do is I just try and mitigate my risks. I've been doing snow removal like this since I was 6 years old, so I'm pretty experienced at it. I only do this in the neighborhood that I live in, so I know what exists under the snow, and I know these people's yards and where the obstacles are at. I also tend to use my blade more than I use my blower, and the blower, it comes with additional risks, throwing rocks and whatnot. The blade is a little lower risky. The other thing that I do is that even though these are technically kind of like customers to me, they all know that I'm not operating a business and I'm just a neighbor helping them out. So those things combined, I use as my way of kind of minimizing the risk that I'm going to be held liable for something. The other thing is that I'm handy. If I break something of somebody's, I can probably fix it. The most likely thing that I would break in this neighborhood would be sprinkler heads. I've done that before, and I also replaced them. Aside from that, I haven't had any issues. I don't use tire chains unless we get very deep snowfalls, so that also minimizes the risk of scratching up driveways. So while I know this is not the answer you're looking for, this is how I do it, and really, I guess that means that I don't. Most of the people that have me help them with their snow removal are typically ones that have houses that are always in the shade. You can look at the shadows on this house too and in the yard and see that everything is basically in the shade, so the snow here doesn't really melt. So after several snowfalls, I'll go through like this and kind of push the edges back a little bit further. That way I have room to push the snow in upcoming snowfalls. Alright, so now we're doing the walking trail. The snow here is not that deep, but as we go further and we get into the shade, the snow is going to be a whole lot deeper. So right here we're going uphill, the snow's getting deeper, but it isn't until we turn around and get to the other side where we're really going to get into it. Of the trail generally sees less sun than any of the other parts we've been at. The snow over here has been building up and the path just keeps getting narrower and narrower, so today I'm going to really open it up so that we have room to push future snowfalls. It's going to be a lot of back and forth.
So you guys see me going through here a lot. The snow always builds up because it doesn't get sun and does not melt. So what I'm going to do today is just push it back further.
Well, I'm getting close to wrapping it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I post snow removal videos all the time. Once a week, sometimes multiple times a week. So if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, like this video, and leave me a comment. Let me know where you're from, send me some questions, and I'll get them answered in the next videos.